everybody, and thanks for joining me today. Working again on that big pink flower. Like I said, I'll be working on it for most of the month. So I did flower and stuff below it. Now I've moved over again. I'm going to work on flower petal today. I'm going to actually end up working more diagonally today, my old kind of way, because that's just sort of the way the colors go. So looking ahead at the pattern, there's kind of a petal that curves this way, and then there's some other stuff around it. So I often say I don't really stitch diagonally anymore, but when there's sort of nothing to fight against, I will kind of gravitate to to that way. Alrighty. There we are. This is again an area that has some fairly large blocks of color, so I think it should go quite quickly. Those tend to zip on by. Oh, pardon me. I actually slept okay last night, but I don't know. For every night I sleep well, there's like 2 or 3 I don't, so I always feel like I'm playing catch up. Oh dear. I bought a vent sort of diverter thing because I found the latest thing that was waking me up was when the heat would come on, it would make the roller shade smack against the wall, and that would wake me up, and plus the heat would hit the windowsill, and the temperature change would make it go pop, 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 which would wake me up. So even with headphones on to try and drown it out, unfortunately my hearing is extremely acute. Now we got a bunch more snow, but it's been pretty warm lately. Unfortunately, that meant we had a bunch of melt and then refreeze, so that's always fun. But yeah, everything's kind of same old, except for, of course, like I said, the Olympics are on this month. So as I said, I won't get quite as much done, I don't think. But actually, my doctor's, where I work, the doctor's office is going to be closed for a few days because they're traveling to visit family across the country. So we'll see. Maybe it'll kind of balance out because I'll have some extra days to stitch that I don't normally get. I do still stitch on the days I work, but I only get to stitch over like my 2-hour lunch. And when you factor in the time it takes to drive home and drive back and having lunch and, you know, possibly doing the dishes and everything, it's not much time. And so those days I get usually maybe 100 stitches, sometimes less. And even though I don't work weekends, but I find weekends is kind of busy with everything else. So generally Saturdays I clean, do laundry, all that kind of stuff. Sundays is usually the day I go get groceries and that sort of thing. So I find on those days I don't get a lot of stitching done either. I get a little more than I do on the days that I work, but the best stitching days are the days that are not a weekend and I don't work. Those are the ones where I kind of wake up, I do all the morning stuff, so I get the dishwasher running or whatever, get that all ready, and then I sit down and stitch until lunch, have lunch, and then stitch until it's time to make dinner. So I get a lot done in those days. Those are the days I get like 600 stitches done or something. I like those days. As I said here, big block here. So, and as you can see, the color kind of naturally curves along that way. If I browse down lower, and it actually continues a little further, and then that's where the navy comes in. But I don't think I'll be getting to the navy part today. I think a crow's on our roof again. He seems to like... It's hard to tell whether that's a human or an animal making that. I had one time, though, I heard him walking around on the roof, and I tapped on the window, and he kind of leaned over the top and stared at me and then flew off. Yeah, it's hard to tell because right where the sound's coming from is where our neighbor parks their truck, kind of between our house and theirs, so could be that too. Maybe they're clearing snow off of it before they drive away. Crows are very intelligent, apparently. It was interesting, somebody said that they whistled a certain song when they would fill up the bird feeder, and so after a while the birds would come and sing the same song, like, "Hey, where's our food, human?" Oh, I was so annoyed. We were watching an episode of the new Star Trek, the Starfleet Academy, and it ran over the time allotted, and then whoever did it hadn't updated the metadata, so the ending was cut off. I was so mad. We lost maybe the last 10 minutes because this show, because it's a streaming show, they don't really stick to the strict, 23 for half hour, 47 minutes for a full hour slot. They just kind of make it as long as they want to make it and run over. And usually our PVR system is good for catching that, but it didn't this time. So I was very frustrated. And so I went to see if we could on-demand it, because usually we get the CTV Sci-Fi. It used to be called the Space Station until CTV bought it over. And usually they have it on demand, but this one they're only airing once and no on demand because Paramount is trying to make everybody buy their... oh, I already did that. Okay. Oh, I think... Let me see. Okay, I did that one, I think. I just didn't color it in. Let's just make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's what I did. Okay, perfect. Just about losing count there already. So anyway, we couldn't, and my husband said, well, would it be on YouTube? I said, no, Paramount is really tough on making sure there's no copyright violations. Like them and Disney, they're the harshest kind of thing. So there wasn't that, but I said, this is the internet. So I Googled recap and somebody recapped it. So I was glad because I was pretty annoyed. And the ending was good. So I was really annoyed that it got cut off. So I have it set now because that was one thing that was nice. My old PVR machine had the option you could let it go over the allotted time, the recording, it had 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, all the way to like 2 hours or something. You could have it run over. So in case the show you were recording ran over, the ending wouldn't be cut off. But this new machine doesn't allow that, which is kind of irritating. This is one that doesn't physically record it to the machine. It records to a cloud service. And so it only lets you record whatever the programming is put into by the TV station. So the TV station thought it was going to end at, an hour and 4 minutes. So it ended at an hour and 4 minutes, and it actually ran for like an hour and 15. So now I have it set that it's going to record the show that's directly after it, just in case. but it was very frustrating because we had that a couple of times. I programmed in to record a movie, and the movie was actually a 2.5-hour slot, but when the person was uploading the metadata, thought it was only a 2-hour slot, so it only recorded 2 hours, and then the last bit of the movie was missing. That was very irritating, so we had to wait till it came on again, and then I did the same thing. I recorded it at the thing that was after it, just in case, but that time somebody did correct the proper metadata. But it's kind of irritating too, because sometimes there'll be movies with the same name and they won't get it correct. So they will, oh, I remember this. I think this piece was super short. It's enough for one. Yes, so that's why I did it that way. I'm going to do one more strand like this. Anyway, and so it will put up the metadata for one movie, but play another movie with the same name. So I was very annoyed because there was a Christmas movie I wanted to watch, which was starring Diane Kruger, and it was based on the true events in, I think it was World War I, where there was a truce on Christmas Eve, and like the opposite sides played soccer together or whatever and stuff, and it had, I can't remember what it was called. Trying to remember. Anyway, it had the same name as some movie starring, Feliz Navidad, that was it. And it had the same name as one that was starring Mario Lopez, which was like a little TV movie and whatever. And I ended up finally having to buy the movie, watch it somewhere else, because they always kept up putting up the metadata for the Diane Kruger movie and then playing the Mario Lopez movie. And so I kept recording it, hoping it'd get it right. Every time I was like, it's the ruddy Mario Lopez movie again. Or same thing the other day. I tried to record some movie that was supposed to be like a heist film and some comedy heist film. And we started it. It was some sci-fi film. I'm like, this doesn't sound right. And then I looked it up, and unfortunately the sci-fi film was like an extra half hour longer than the heist film, and it was programmed for the length of the heist film, so the ending would be there. So yeah, it's annoying. Like I said, that's one thing I kind of like. So by default, it's set up to record starting about a minute before the time actually starts and continues recording for about 3 minutes afterwards. So each recording is a little over an hour to make sure you didn't miss the beginning and the end in case the timing is slightly off. Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't allow you to choose what that interval was, which was really useful because I used to have it set up for certain programs that I knew were prone to running over. I would have it set up to go an extra half hour, and then that way the ending wasn't missing. It was really frustrating. There was one channel that was really bad for it, and that was it was the one that Gotham was on. I can't remember what network that was, but they were so many times the very last 30 seconds was missing. It's like, no. And this was before we had on demand. This was when we had satellite. Right now we have what you might call it, fiber optic TV. So it's got more flexibility. We've got on demand that way. It has restart live TV up to like 36 hours or something. And then we get unlimited recording space in our cloud. But the one drawback is you only get 90 days to watch it. So I'm still catching up on stuff that I recorded in December. I've got a ways to go. So I only have like less than a month left to watch it before that. So having to watch everything in sort of order, making sure I go with whatever's got the oldest date, because that will get erased first. been watching Stargate SG-1. We saw the movies years ago, and then it's on the CTV Sci-Fi, and it just restarted from the season 1, episode 1 a few weeks ago, and I happened to catch it, so I said, we'll try it. We've enjoyed it so far. We're almost through the 2nd season, I think. It's not bad. I was saying to my husband, I mean, to me, it's no Star Trek, but it hasn't been bad. But we said, yeah, it kind of annoys us both in these sci-fi where it's like, oh, let's just go to this alien planet we know nothing about with no respirators, no personal protective equipment, nothing. Just where, like, you don't know, some tiny little alien microbe could be the end of you. I mean, that's how it was in War of the Worlds. That's what took down the alien invasion, was bacteria. They had all this technology, superior technology, and then they died of a bacterial infection. Yeah, I remember somebody saying, could you imagine, like, that could be a problem if time travel was ever a thing? Like, you take back whatever's the common cold now back a few centuries, and it might wipe out the whole population. Oh my gosh. But we said, yeah, it's funny because of course they don't show it, but I said, like, they go to some alien planet, they come back, there's no quarantine or medical scan or anything, like. But I said, you never know. I mean, humans we have to have a disaster before we learn better. Like, there was one about when they were first experimenting with, like, nuclear energy, and they had something where they were holding it propped open with, like, a screwdriver or something, and yeah, a bunch of people working on the thing died, so, from radiation exposure. Or I said, I remember when I was having to do my workplace safety course, and they'll have, you'll scoff at stuff where it'll say something like, don't store pressurized containers near heat sources. And you think, well, of course, I mean, who would do that? But the thing is, they have to say that because somebody did once, right? And caused a disaster. Probably more than one somebody. Yeah, talking about pressurized containers, there was my father-in-law worked in a mechanic shop. He fixed the big semi-trucks, and they said there was one time there was a cylinder and something happened. I think it fell over and, like, the nozzle broke off, and they said it took off like a rocket and it shot through a concrete wall and went halfway down the street. Like, yikes. Those things hold a lot of pressure. Thankfully, nobody was hurt, but yeah, that's pretty scary. Lots of this pink here. Yeah, had a couple people say they're not much of a pinks fan. Yeah, I'm not really either anymore. But this flower does add, I think, some nice contrast to the blue and green sort of palette of the bird, of his feathers. Well, and of the female's feathers too a bit. She's got some blue on her. All right, we'll see how long this one lasts. Actually, looking ahead, just realized, I think what I'm going to do is, hang on a sec, I'm going to, even though technically it's going to kind of close in the one above it, I'm going to do this one stitch. So I can sort of do the whole little end bit around it. So then what I'm going to do is sort of do like that around that edge. And then I don't have to add another little piece at the end there. Pardon me. So I want to reach 290,000 by the end of February, which should be, I think, doable. And if I get more, so if I did manage 6,000, it would be 292, because I stopped at 286,000 at the end of January. We are at less than 20,000 stitches now. It is coming along. It's the final countdown. I'm expecting to hit 94% by the end of this month too. Shouldn't be an issue. That's less than 2,000 stitches away, if I've done my math right. Yeah, I think there's some of the second flower. There's a bit of it. Yeah. So the one flower that's kind of like in the opposite direction, kind of closed more. Not as much. There's more leaves below it than flower. And there's one more little bud sort of next to it. And then we're just into the very end of the tail and then the background. The very edge at the bottom right corner there, I think, looks like it's not too confetti heavy. It's kind of a washed out kind of like watercolor kind of look. Let's try this again. There we go. So as I said, lots of this color in sort of a big block. So I'm gonna do this area, and I'm gonna probably do sort of a little bit that's in here. I'm gonna leave that navy blue section. I'm gonna kind of work around it, and then I will fill in the navy blue section later. And then once I filled that in down to the bottom, I'll move the whole frame over. So 275 is the halfway across this pass point. This is, I believe, let me see, where's my numbers? 230 is here. So yeah, I may actually reach that halfway mark in February, because we're getting pretty close to that. And I believe I started this pass sometime in January, or was it December? I can't remember now. I'd have to look. But if that's the case, then that would mean I'd be done before the end of May, if I could keep to the same sort of the same pace. Yeah, this is a super short piece. It's only long enough for one stitch. Oop. There we go. It will not work very well if I shred it, which I hate doing. It's hard to believe it's going to be Valentine's Day soon. The year is already flying by. We usually don't go out for Valentine's Day because it's such a pain to get a reservation. Usually what I do is actually I order takeout, because I said it costs us about the same as if we were going to do a sit-down meal in a restaurant, but the amount of food I get is usually enough for 2 or 3 nights, so it's kind of a extra bonus for me because I don't have to cook then when we get Chinese food. That's what I usually do. We have an Asian fusion place in town that's pretty good. So they have a buffet as well, so sometimes we do that because then they have all sorts. So they have like sushi, Chinese, they got Western food like fries and stuff like that. It's a really nice combination. Oh goodness, pardon me. We had the best Chinese place we had in town for a while, but they went out of business and it turned out later they were a front. Yeah. I said, but their food was so good. Oh, it was too bad. Everybody went there. And that happened to one of my friends. She said there was a pet shop in town. She said, and they were so generous, you know, you would buy 5 or 6 fish and they throw in a couple free ones, and then they turned out later that, yeah, it was a front. And so she said, oh, no wonder they were so generous. That wasn't where they were raking their real money. Oh, dear. So that was a color that's getting closer to being done. Yeah, this color here, there's only 6 stitches left, but there's 4 here, and I think the last 2, yeah, I won't be getting to them this one. So no 0 there for a while. Darn. So one, like I said, one petal's kind of coming here and another one's kind of going the other way. I'm going to just sort of work on the one that comes here for now, and then I will later work on the one that goes the other direction. big block of color again. Yeah, we're about to go past 100 stitches completed, no problem. I've been working long enough now at the doctor's office that I don't try to answer it with my old workplace name, but it's funny now. I said I'm used to it enough that I almost answered my personal phone as if I was answering it at the doctor's office the other day. Because I kept wanting to answer it as if I was still working at the newspaper, even though I haven't worked there since 2004. But that was the job I had where I got the most phone calls, so it really got ingrained in my head because I was saying that like 50 times a day. So as I said, you can see this color is branching off this way. I'm just going to I'm taking a color from here and just kind of cutting the whole thing off that way. And I'll work in the other direction later. But probably not until I'll probably move over my whole frame when I do that. I move over the frame over sort of every 6 columns or so is what seems to work best. Ick. So yeah, I've just decided that this sort of line 240 or thereabouts is where I'm going to make my cutoff. That's where that little trimmed bit went. Let's not have that tie into a knot, if you don't mind. Same color, different strand. Darn it. I hate when that happens. Okay, good. It's going to stay on the other side. Yeah, I tell you, like I said, I used to do stitching that had things like fractional stitches and French knots, and I could never make a French knot when I actually wanted to, but I can make them all the time when I don't want any knots. Because, of course, that's always the way it works out, isn't it? Put that one there, fill in that color there. Start another strand because that one's about to run out anyway. Start another one to do sort of this big area here, and I'll use a smaller one for that little bit that's left, sort of on the other side of the bit of coral coming up. So this one I'm going to start here. Darn hair keeps showing up. There's no others nearby, so I'll just tie this one off. Try that again. Oh, unthreaded it, darn it. What a pain. Okay. I hate when I have to rethread it just to do one pin stitch. Oh, yeah, that was wrong. So I could continue stitching with that piece, but I'm gonna, oops, wrong one. I'm gonna switch colors because, like I say, that kind of builds in a break for my arms. Sure I'm in the right big square here. This one probably won't be enough, but I'll just add another short piece. right past 200, no problem. Okay, actually that means I'm going to do those ones first. Oh, forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb again. Just a reminder that my son's eye appointment is soon. It's time to get him some new glasses. He's had those for like 3 years, so they're getting pretty beat up. But he's been lucky. His has been stable for a while, which is nice. I said, I don't think mine really stabilized until I was closer to 30 than 20. They jumped up like a point every year when I was a kid, just about. All right, so I think I'll do these two, and then that will be, I think, where I call it a day for today. Got quite a bit done. Oh, this one's already out? Oh, yes. Actually, this color is, not going to be used much for a while after this, I think. There, so yeah, I stitched more diagonal-ish today. Got a pretty good amount done. Thank you so much for joining me today, and hope to see you here next time. Thanks, everyone. Bye.